Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Mike from Real Life Counseling and Express Counseling, and today we're going to talk about session one of logotherapy or existential therapy. Now, the first session is similar to most first sessions, where you get some background information on the person, their address, their name, where they live, emergency contacts, any physical issues, any prior history of therapy, their current situation, who they're living with, are they suicidal? So you want to get a big background, a certain amount of background, and then of course you want to find out what they're there for. Is it depression, anxiety, stress, anger, loneliness, whatever the issue is. And then after you get that basics of insurance information, after you get that basic stuff out of the way, the first session really consists of basically two things. One, sharing the idea of what logotherapy or existential therapy is. And the primary person we speak about is Viktor Frankl. He was the founder of logotherapy and one of the main existential therapies. And existential just means people question their existence. Why am I here? What's my purpose? Do I have a purpose? Do I have a meaning in life? Viktor Frankl wrote a very famous book, Man's Search for Meaning, an introductory to logotherapy. Okay, and so I would certainly ask clients to read that in between the first and the second session. So the first session is just talking about logotherapy. And Viktor Frankl believed that human beings have this innate drive, this will or drive to meaning. That if we don't have meaning in our lives, a purpose, something that we're meant to do, then that's a problem. Viktor Frankl famously said something. He said that we are not the ones who ask the question, "What is the meaning of my life?" Rather, it is life and our existence which continually asks this question of us. So his idea is that we need to find meaning. We're constantly being asked by the world, by life, by our very existence. What are you here for? What's your purpose? And the will to meaning, the drive, Nietzsche talked about will to power, the drive to power. Frankl believes we all have a drive to find meaning in our lives, to find purpose. And so basically the first session is really talking about Viktor Frankl after the basic preliminary stuff, where we talk about Viktor Frankl, and then after that we talk about what is logotherapy, what is the idea. The idea is that we all have this drive for meaning, that we can find meaning in any and every situation. There's a more spiritual component to it, but it is the belief that every one of us can derive meaning from life, regardless of our circumstance. And let me remind you that Viktor Frankl himself had been in a concentration camp. So he has experience with some really horrible circumstance, and he believed that even in the worst situations, we still have meaning in our lives. He believes that we have the ability to transform suffering into meaning, and it's not really a question of why we suffer, because who can answer that question? But really uncover how we suffer. It's transforming how we suffer, redefining it. Is it really suffering? Is there a higher purpose to it? So it's really more of redefining what suffering is, and that's a new logistical. That's hard for people to get their heads around. Viktor Frankl had spoken with prisoners who were going to be executed, and he was able to help them find meaning in their life, which is remarkable. And so that he also believes that we are, as human, we cannot help but look for meaning in our lives. And that is an untapped part of human suffering. That people seem to have everything. If you've ever met people who are successful, wealthy, respected, they have families, money, they're educated, and they still feel empty inside. They still don't feel whole or complete. And Frankl believes that this is because of lack of meaning in life. And so these are some of the basic assumptions of logotherapy and existential therapy as a whole. Similar to logotherapy, existential therapy also talks about, has a philosophical component. In fact, there's a type of counseling called philosophical counseling, in which they use philosophers and the ideas of the philosophers to help people deal with the problems of life today. So it really is a very exciting and a very robust therapy, and it can be used on already existing therapies. You don't have to use logotherapy in its pure form. You can add ideas to cognitive therapy, behavioral therapy, person-centered, Gestalt. But the first session is going to be getting some background on you, some administrative stuff, telling you a little bit about logotherapy, what are some of the basic assumptions of existential and logotherapy, and just getting to some what is your diagnosis, or what is the issue. Diagnosis, just to find out, are you anxious, depressed, stressed, not necessarily for any other reason, although insurance companies sometimes require it. And then getting a little background on you. How long have you felt this way? Do you remember when it started? Do you remember when it occurs? Are there some triggers? Are there certain times of day? How are you sleeping? How are you eating? Those kinds of things. And that's basically will take us through the end of the first session. The first couple of sessions is just getting to jump in. It's getting some background. It's a little dry. We don't get into the hard stuff, the meat of the stuff, until probably about the third session. But this is important preliminary, so you know what you're getting into, what to expect, and what really this is going to be all about, because it's a very exciting and powerful journey that you're about to start on. So I hope this is clear. If you like the video, please hit like. If you want to subscribe, please do. If you think this could help someone, please share it with anyone. And session 2 is the next session, and I look forward to seeing you there. Stay safe, and I will see you next time. Thanks.